Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Romantic Society tasting. Uh, this evening, I'm going to do a one-off review of a whiskey. I think I reviewed in my American whiskey tasting, but I'm going to take a deeper dive because I'm a big fan of Bob Dylan, and on the Bob Dylan forum, Expecting Rain, there's a bit of discussion in one of the threads recently about Heaven's Door whiskey, uh, which I have a bottle of here. This is the Heaven's Door Straight Rye whiskey, bottled at 43%. So, first of all, American whiskey. Well, American whiskey is whiskey, uh, a distilled beverage produced from a fermented mash of cereal grain produced in the United States. And American whiskies are made from mashes with at least 51% of their named grains, uh, and include bourbon whiskey, rye whiskey, rye malt whiskey, wheat whiskey, Tennessee whiskey, and corn whiskey. Other American whiskies which do not specify a dominant grain include blended whiskies, blends of straight whiskies, grain whiskies, and spirit whiskies. In the case of blends, American whiskies may include artificial colours and flavourings. Laws regulating the above products vary between those produced for sale in the US and those that are exported abroad. So the regulations, the production and labelling of American whiskey is governed by Title 27 of the US Code of Federal Regulations. Outside of the US, various other countries recognize certain types of American whiskey, such as bourbon and Tennessee whiskey, as indigenous products of the US that must be produced, although not necessarily bottled in the US. When they're sold in another country, American whiskey may also be required to conform to local product requirements that apply to whiskey in general when sold in that country. And in some cases, this may involve stricter standards than US law. So, the key types of American whiskey listed in the US Code of Federal Regulations include rye whiskey, such as that we're going to taste tonight, which is made from a mash that consists of at least 51% rye. Rye malt whiskey, which is made from mash that consists of at least 51% malted rye. Malt whiskey, made from a mash that consists of at least 51% malted barley. Wheat whiskey, made from a mash that contains at least 51% wheat. And bourbon whiskey, which is made from a mash that consists of at least 51% corn maize. And corn whiskey, which is made from a mash that consists of at least 80% corn. So Bob Dylan and whiskey. Well, Dylan's songs are not short of whiskey references. Among them, Copper Kettle, The Pale Moonlight, Daddy, he made whiskey, my granddaddy, he did too. We ain't paid no whiskey tax since 1792. Blind Willie McTell, he's dressed up like a squire, bootleg whiskey in his hand. Gotta serve somebody, might like to drink whiskey, might like to drink milk, and moonshiner. I've spent all my money on whiskey and beer. So Dylan and whiskey are a natural pairing. His music conjures up images of rustic saloons, dimly lit and lined with dark wood, where thoughtful men sit nursing their drinks, lost in contemplation. For many, Dylan's music is Americana, a tribute to all things bucolic, pastoral, and everyday. His lyrics are simultaneously profound and relatable, elegiac and ultimately honest. He captures the beauty and the flaws of America with unflinching, poetic truthfulness. And understanding a little bit about America's, for me, greatest songwriter sets the stage for what the man embodies, a commitment to excellence in everything he does. He does not take on new ventures simply to pass the time. When he steps into a project, he does it with purpose. And for me, Heaven's Door is a testament to this ethos and is crafted with the same care and artistry he brings to his music. For Dylan, it seems it is all or nothing. For this project, this singer and Nobel laureate joined with the liquor entrepreneur Mark Bushala to turn a deconsecrated church in Tennessee into a distillery. Their Heaven's Door spirits, a Tennessee straight bourbon, a double barrel whiskey, and a straight rye, were made available initially in Tennessee, Florida, California, Illinois, New York, and Texas, and then rolled out to the wider world. Dylan mused in a press release, "You don't always find inspiration. Sometimes it finds you." We wanted to create a collection of American whiskies that would each tell a story. Bushala says the project began when he noticed Dylan, whose bootleg series now runs to 17, soon to be 18 releases, had filed a trademark application for bootleg whiskey. Bushala contacted the enigmatic singer and made his pitch. Knowing that Dylan is a whiskey aficionado, Bushala decided to approach the project from a whiskey-centric point of view. That appealed to Bob, he said. This is not a vanity project for him, it's a passion project. When it came to a name, the two men wanted a standalone name for whiskey that could also be a nod and a wink to Dylan. They got down to 10 favourites and then agreed to go with a reference to Knocking on Heaven's Door, a hit from the 1973 album Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which in fact does not refer to whiskey. Everyone felt strongly that Heaven's Door was just a perfect name, Bushala said, especially given the imagery we're using on the bottle. Wrought ironwork from Dylan's own metalwork foundry in Los Angeles. Someone as eclectic and diverse as Bob, Bushala said, should put out an evolving collection or portfolio of whiskies. To achieve that, he said, he raised $35 million from investors. Dylan's idea for his own whiskey came from a more down-to-earth source. His earliest incarnation as a Woody Guthrie-esque, riding the rails, wandering minstrel. In a statement to the New York Times, Dylan said, "I've been travelling for decades, and I've been able to try some of the best spirits that the world of whiskey has to offer. This is great whiskey." Bushala said, "There's been spirits and whiskey in his music for as long as he's been making it. And in kind of rural Americana, that plays into it. So for sure, in his mind, there were elements he was after, but it wasn't directly articulate. He was after a mood or a feeling. He wasn't after saying, this should taste more smoky, or have more corn or rye, or adjust the proof." In 2020, around the time that Heaven's Door was first released, he recorded and released a new 2-hour episode of his radio show titled Theme Time Radio Hour Whiskey. And Dylan's voice and delivery sounded as if he had helped himself to a sampling of the sponsors' Heaven Door goods during the nearly 2-hour broadcast. Dylan's trademark quirky delivery and behind the beat timing are spot on throughout, but his tongue is thick and slurry, at least to my ears. No matter, the episode reaches the high bar set by previous episodes, swirling together an entertaining cocktail of cornball jokes, obscure historical and cultural anecdotes, and a terrifically curated song list, with a few obvious choices sprinkled among mostly rare and seldom heard recordings. And it's a must listen for whiskey aficionados. So, Heaven's Door straight rye whiskey. So, American rye whiskey. In the United States, rye whiskey is made from a mash of at least 51% rye. The other ingredients in the mash are usually corn and malted barley. It's distilled to no more than 160 US proof, 80% ABV, and aged in charred new oak barrels. The whiskey must be put in the barrels at no more than 125 proof, 62.5% ABV. Rye whiskey that has been aged for at least 2 years and has not been blended with other spirits may be further designated as straight, as in straight rye whiskey, as this one is. So, what's the difference between rye and bourbon? Well, of the rye whiskies I've tried, the rye imparts what many call a spicy or fruity flavour to the whiskey, whilst bourbon, distilled from at least 51% corn, is noticeably sweeter and tends to be more full-bodied than rye. Bourbon gained popularity beyond the southern United States. Bartenders increasingly substituted it for rye in cocktails, such as the whiskey sour, Manhattan, and Old Fashioned, which were originally made with rye. All other things being equal, the character of the cocktail will be drier, less sweet when it has rye. So Heaven's Door Whiskey, American whiskey brand, started in 2018, and it's known for its unique approach. The collaboration between Bushella and Bob Dylan created a whiskey line with tradition and artistic flair. They stand out for their quality and whiskey making. And they have quite a range. They include Tennessee bourbon, double barrel whiskey, and straight rye whiskey. The Tennessee bourbon smooth with vanilla and oak notes. Double barrel whiskey deeper, stronger flavour from its double barreling. And straight rye whiskey, which is bolder and spicier. And it's finished in toasted oak cigar barrels, adding a unique taste. The making of any whiskey involves choosing the right barrels and ingredients. And Heaven's Door uses top quality grades of pure water, and they focus on a careful aging process, which results in complex and approachable whiskies. And a key part is its link to Dylan's art. The bottles have this Iron Gate artwork by Dylan, which shows his journey as an artist and his love for metalwork. which adds a kind of special touch to the brand, making it both a whisky and a work of art. And its dedication to seamlessly melding this old one with the new is best evidenced by its approach to constructing its new distillery in Pleasureville, Kentucky, which is situated on 67 hectares of rolling hills. It's as pretty as a picture property and was once owned by Squire Boone, the brother of famed frontiersman Daniel Boone, who played a major role in the settlement of Kentucky. They had initially planned to establish Heaven's Door in Nashville, Tennessee. They'd acquired a historic 160-year-old church in Nashville with an intention of converting it into a showcase distillery and brand centre. However, as the project progressed, an unexpected opportunity arose in Kentucky and they reconsidered their strategy. And the Pleasureville property offers more than just picturesque views of whisky's spiritual heartland. It's deeply rooted in American frontier history, which resonates with the brand's commitment to storytelling and craftsmanship. And so it allows to create not just a modern distillery, but a destination to honour the tradition of the rich tradition of Kentucky whisky making. The mash bill for Heaven's Door straight rye whisky includes 74% rye. It's straight rye, so it's matured for a minimum of 2 years. And in this case, they specified that they wanted the products that have been matured for a minimum of 4 years. I'm not sure if this one's even older than that. Now, in the early days of Heaven's Door, they were sourcing the whisky, and this was produced by Spirits Investment Partnership, who specialise in this kind of brand. This one was finished in French Vosges oak casks. It's not fully aged in Vosges oak, just finished for 6 months after 7 years. So it's 7 years actually in regular American barrels. The Vosges oak casks are also used in winemaking. I've seen this one. This is the 43%, but I've seen it at 46%. I sometimes wonder if Bob Dylan is fully involved in the whisky making process. The answer is well. The new distillery aims to produce 8,000 to 9,000 barrels a year, with scope to increase that to 50,000. And once it's producing down the line, almost all of its bottlings will come from in-house distillation. So with that in mind, let's proceed. And I won't quote songs, but I won't deny that Heaven's Door is a lovely name for a whisky. One thing you will notice on this bottle is if you turn it round and you have a good look, you'll see that Bob Dylan's signature is in the bottom there. Really, you could only see it when the bottle was empty. It's the first time I've noticed it. I wonder... Yes, we'll not go there. So, and it has nice tears, a nice tide line, quite sticky. So let's see what the nose is like. And it's classic dark and chewy rye notes. Mint, baking spices, anise, freshly ground pepper, and that all forms around a creamy core of banoffee pie and vanilla ice cream. And that sort of warming, woody element builds underneath. Touches of citrus, leather, and molasses. And there's a big whiff of quite pricey dark chocolate, which wafts through with time. It's a bit green. It's my initial impressions. Softly perfumed and floral. It appears quite rich and a bit dark. And it is quite a lovely note. It's rather gentle. It's got a lot of rye, touches of violets, turmeric, some funny hints of tequila in there, then dill and fennel seeds, heather honey, warm caramel, cinnamon roll, and more earthy agave tequila. And I like this one because, unlike other ryes, it's earthier. And I sometimes find ryes too round and lacking responsiveness. We'll try them out. And the flavours intensify on the palate. There's a nutty toffee foundation with more chocolate and spice. But behind that you get some apple pie, orange peel, spearmint, salted butter and nugget. It's a medium body, a bit slimmer than that perhaps. And again somewhat green, sweet, oaky, softly bitter. And there's pepper and honey in the background. And it starts dry on sawdust and spices, white pepper, cinnamon, and a bit bready as well. And could almost go towards caraway, cloves, and nutmeg. And then ground coffee and raw cocoa. And the rye is obvious. I'm also finding notes of buckwheat, not distilled buckwheat, and some wood ashes. It's dry, which for me is not a style that I dislike. And the finish, the spice completely disappears, but the mint lingers in a calm, delicate, and slightly succulent finish. It's a medium long finish, slowly more peppery, dry, with some lovely peppery notes towards the end. And the rye finally shines through, toasted oak as well. And it lifts the whole experience a fair bit. Spicy, earthy, and grassy. With only a little marmalade and lavender sweets in the aftertaste. And a little bit of salt as well. Well, you've got some spirits endorsed by high celebrities. And I think if you read reviews of them, they're often not thought it was all that good. But this dry American really is, in my book, very good. It's as dry as Bob. Bushella said he didn't sell out. This is his brand. and it's his idea. We just helped him to do what he wanted to do. Bob does not want to be face man of the brand, and he does not want the packaging to scream Dylan. Dylan's signature is therefore on the reverse side of the label, making it visible only when the bottle is empty. He's willing to do that, but he's not going to appearances or bottle signings. He didn't even pick up his Nobel Prize, so he's not going to go out touring or touting his Heaven's Door whiskey. And that's good. It's great, because it's authentic for Dylan and authentic for this brand. Thanks for listening.